Is this the ugliest SG you've seen? Or is it one of the cooler looking ones? This is the SG Faded T. Let's do this. What's going on, guys? IkeGuitar here. Today we're talking about the SG Faded T, now known as the SG Tribute by Gibson, and it's an interesting guitar. So I got this guitar at a trade. It cost me essentially $400, give or take. I sold that D'Angelico Hollowbody I reviewed last time in the description below, and I traded it straight up for this Gibson SG Faded T. Now, they used to be called the Faded Ts back in 2017 when this baby was built. Now they're called the SG Faded Tributes, and this is the natural walnut finish. Some things to keep in mind about the SG Faded Tribute is that the SG Tributes are meant to be a more introductory level to Gibson's line of American-made guitars. Now, I did a review a long time ago about the Les Paul Tribute, had one in Satin Cherry Sunburst. It's gotten a lot of views actually, and those are excellent guitars. It was a 2020 model at the time, and it was fantastic. Came in a beautiful soft shell case, came with everything you'd want to see in a Les Paul style guitar for a fraction of the cost. But I will say, for a guitar, the SG Tribute does have a lot of shortcomings. I wasn't quite a fan of this guitar, wasn't gravitated towards it as much as I would have liked. First off being, I'm just not a big fan of the walnut color. Now, if you guys like walnut on an SG, that's fine. I think some guitars look great with walnut, the 335 included, but for me, unless the SG is white, pelham, or red, I'm really just not a fan of any other color on an SG. The SG is iconic, but not as iconic as other guitars, and I would say it can be a bit of a pariah for people, right? The horns are a bit more aggressive, the body contours aren't as thick as, say, a Les Paul would, and although this guitar has some decent tone woods, it's got a mahogany body with a maple neck and a rosewood fretboard, I can't say it altogether sounds that incredible. So here I've got a couple of things that I found interesting. I plugged in the guitar earlier and looked at the waveform of these pickups, and right now we're running the 490 and the 498T. We've seen these on the Les Pauls, and the Les Paul, they sounded great, but on this guitar it was a little bit more special. So I compared this with my actual Les Paul standard, and you'll find that there's a really big hump in the mid-range, lower mid-range, in the 200 to 250 hertz area. Now that makes this guitar extremely warm. I even had some of my higher gain settings on, and it just didn't sound clear enough for me to want to take this on the road and do a bunch of screaming solos on it. And that, coupled with a very, very interesting neck contour. I think it's it's probably modern C, but it's wide. It's a big fret radius, probably at least 12. I'm not used to a neck this wide for an SG. I consider this more of a hollow body style kind of neck shape, but yet it's on this SG. I can't say I'm a fan. That is to say, someone else may like it. I'm just not a big fan of the neck. So is this guitar worth $400? For sure. This guitar is a great way of getting into the American Gibson SG world on a budget. But as far as like comparing to the Les Paul tributes that I know, I would almost certainly go with a Les Paul tribute over the SG tributes any day of the week, especially since these SG tributes now, even though it's not 2017 anymore, the new lines of SG Faded Tributes go for $1,300. That is a lot of money for a guitar that to me is it's just okay. Like, it's not great, it's not wonderful, it's just okay. But you never know, the more modern SG Faded Tributes could be a whole lot better, which is why I need you to let me know down in the comments below. Guys, thank you so much for watching this video on the SG Faded Tribute. If you like this, please consider subscribing. I make videos all the time. If you think the SG Faded Tribute, or the SG Faded T for short, for this model is any good, I'd be interested to know your thoughts. I enjoy it, it's fine, but it's just not the guitar I would pick up and put down day after day. I'll leave that for the Les Paul tributes.